The size ranges are basically from 2 feet by 3 feet all the way up to 12 by 15, 12 by 18, and even bigger, 15 by 30. You know, you can go get rugs as large as probably 20, 25 feet wide by 40 some feet long. But the basic size ranges will be between 2 by 3 and 12 by 18. Now, placing rugs in different rooms is a very important factor. Different rooms will have different requirements and different things that affect your choices. Like, for example, in the bedroom, you're a lot of times better off either putting a rug towards the front of the bed and in like a T, to where the rug either comes totally clears the bed and comes in front of the bed, or just goes under the front of the bed. So most of the rug is showing in front of it. And then you can accent this with a couple of rugs on each side, smaller rugs, if you want to step off from the bed when your feet are bare onto some small rugs. Another way to do the bedroom is to do a very large rug that encompasses your bed entirely on it. It looks beautiful, it's just a much more expensive way to do it. Certain other rooms, for example, the trickiest rooms of the house that you need to worry about the size the most are the breakfast room and the dining room, because of the size of the furniture that you're putting on there and because of the function, which is the movement of the chairs back and forth. So to determine the size of the best size for a rug for your breakfast room or dining room, what you want to do is to pull the chairs back to where you can comfortably sit on the breakfast table or dining table, and then take that perimeter around the chairs, and that is the minimum size that you need to have. Now, in the breakfast room and dining room, you'll usually end up compromising a little bit just because the nature of the rooms, that, you know, there are large furniture pieces on it, the chairs gotta move back, and so in a breakfast room or dining room, I would always try and err towards a little larger than smaller if possible. And also, if I have to come close to the wall, not to the wall, but almost close to the wall, just to get the large enough rug for the table to be able to function properly with the chairs pulling out, I would do that in a breakfast room or dining room, and it is something that I would not do in a living room or a family room, but in a breakfast or dining room, I would compromise with that. In the hallways, you want to usually measure within about a foot, 6 inches, 4.5 to on each end of the hall, and then see that as your size range. As far as great rooms are concerned, there are a lot of myths about great rooms or misconception on how to do a great room. First one is that you have to do one large, huge rug to do the great room. Again, I've done the great rooms this way and they can look absolutely magnificent, but it's a very expensive way to do it, and it is not the most versatile, and functioning wise, it's not the easiest way to do it. The best way to do the great room, in my opinion, is to do 2 different rugs and have them be very complementing, but not the same. And that way you can have the 2 different functioning areas. You can have your area that is your seating area, and you can have the other area that is usually your dining area. And that's a much, much better way to decorate a great room. Usually in a kitchen, people get very shy about putting a rug in the kitchen just simply because you're cooking, you're spilling things and things like that. And you may want to take my opinion with a grain of salt. I'm a rug merchant, but I think that rugs do wonderfully in a kitchen. They clean very easily, especially if they're made of wool. And I would highly recommend wool rugs in kitchen, not silk. And they also give you a lot of comfort under your feet because you're spending so much time in front of the sink or in front of the stove. So I would highly recommend rugs in the kitchen, and some wide runners right in the area where the sink and the stove is, and maybe accented by some rugs on the sides. Is probably the best way to do kitchen area. An office or a study or a library is, in my opinion, or a casita or a guest room. These rooms are I think, ways that we can kind of deviate if we have a same theme going on in the rest of the house. Let's say if you have very transitional rugs going in the rest of the house, maybe you can do a very traditional or tribal in the office or library, just to get something, introduce something very different in there. Now, as far as the sizes and types of rugs in rooms are concerned, a couple of things I want to mention real quick. If you're doing 2 different rugs in a room, especially like a great room, or any other room for that matter, a lot of times people would want to do the same rug. Don't do that. because you're going to pay for good handmade rugs, but if they're both the same, then they're going to look like they're machine-made reproductions. So you almost never want to do that. The only time I have ever done the same rugs I've allowed myself to do is in hallways. But I would always prefer to have the rugs be different, but yet very, very complementing. And one of the most important suggestions that I can give you is usually people feel like they can't choose the rug until after they've chosen everything else. Please don't do that. Wherever you buy your rug from, choose the rug first, and then, as long as it is possible, then decorate everything else around it. Of course, if you have all the other furnishings, you're going to make the rug go with everything else. But if you have the option, when you choose the rug first, you can literally, you have thousands of colors available for paint and choices for fabric and for leather. And to make those things for you to choose those things off of the rug is the simplest, easiest, most magnificent way for you to decorate your home. Try me on this. Do one home where the rug is the last thing you do, one room I mean, and do another room where the rug is the first thing that you do, and you'll never do it any other way.